Hello everybody and welcome back to another Path of Exile 1 video. Today we're going to be doing a League Start guide on the Impending Doom Harbinger, or as I like to call it, the Harbinger of Doom. This build uses the support gem Impending Doom to trigger Doom Blast that deals chaos damage when your curses expire. We play this skill on the Harbinger Ascendancy and make use of two mandatory uniques. That is Foulborn Doedri's Scorn and Vixen's Entrapment. The endgame version of this build has excellent clear, good single target damage, and average survivability. Although getting to the endgame can be a little bit of a problem if you want to swap into Impending Doom at level 31 when you first get it. Let's start with the basics. Impending Doom deals damage when your curses expire. But how do we get those curses to expire? Well, you can wait out the natural duration of the curse, or you can overwrite one curse with another by exceeding the maximum curse limit. There's also a third way to expire curses, and that's by using Cursed Ground support. This removes the duration of your curses and creates hexed areas instead. And enemies that leave or enter the area will cause the curse to expire, triggering Doom Blast. Our build is going to be using Cursed Ground during the campaign, and later on when we get to the end game, we're going to be using the overriding curse mechanic with Vixen's Entrapment. More on that later. There are a few other things we need to know about Impending Doom. First is that it has a cooldown and 3 charges, which means we want to scale cooldown recovery rate to increase the number of triggers per second for our Doom Blast. The next thing you want to know is that there is an interaction with Spell Cascade support. This allows your curses to overlap, letting Doom Blast trigger multiple times on the same enemy. This is what makes the skill have respectable single target damage once we get to the end game. Here's what the skill looks like without Spell Cascade, so no overlaps. And here's what it looks like with Spell Cascade, so you get 1 overlap. If you really want to min-max the character, you can put Awakened Spell Cascade, and with enough area of effect, you can get 2 overlapping areas for a total of 3 hits with your Doom Blast. Right, the other thing we can do is to pay attention to the sound the skill makes when it multi-hits. Right, here's what it sounds like when it hits once, here's what it sounds like when it hits twice, and here is what it sounds like when you get those juicy triple hits. Right, this interaction means that we'll want to scale area of effect to better facilitate the overlapping. So to recap, Impending Doom is a trigger support that deals chaos damage when your curses expire. And to deal more damage, we want to scale that cooldown recovery rate up to increase our triggers per second, and we also want to scale area of effect so it's easier to create those overlapping areas. This brings us to our ascendancy of choice for this build, which is the Harbinger. This is a witch ascendancy that is exclusive to the Legacy of Phrecia event. It's designed around 3 pillars, being blue, flying, and getting extraterrestrial visitors that provide you with useful buffs. We're going to be doing none of that. Instead, we're going to focus on the crappy bastard nodes that nobody wants or takes in 99% of their builds, and these nodes are Temporal Empowerment for increased cooldown recovery rate, Arcane Soul for a corrupted soul at home. This is going to give you extra energy shield and make it so that a portion of regular damage bypasses energy shield. And we're also going to want Era of Blasphemy. This is going to give us increased area of effect for our curses. Our fourth point we unfortunately have to spend on visiting Harbinger of Time, and that's because of a recent balance change where the positions of the ascendancies were swapped. In the campaign, we're going to take Era of Blasphemy first, then we're going to work our way towards Temporal Empowerment by the time we finish Merciless Lab, and for Uber Lab we can take Arcane Soul, but only once we have a source of reliable life and energy shield recovery. With our ascendancy out of the way, let's talk about mandatory uniques. First, we have the Foulborn Doedri's Scorn. This helmet gives us access to a 5-link with level 30 Impending Doom. This is the most important unique in the build, and the sooner you get it, the better your build will feel. Your damage is going to go from yikes to whoa as soon as you slot this in, so expect it to be a little bit expensive on the first few days of the league, since other players will most definitely be playing Impending Doom. The second most important unique is Vixen's Entrapment. These gloves are going to allow you to trigger your socketed curses on your enemies when you self-cast a curse. This allows you to expire curses by overriding them with the mechanic we talked about before, and this not only increases our damage directly by allowing for multiple curses, but it's also going to give us an indirect increase by allowing us to stop using Cursed Ground support in our Impending Doom setup. Here you can use a damage support instead. The only catch here is that triggering curses and multiples of them is extremely mana intensive. This build costs more mana than Archmage builds, so you need to really invest into the mana recovery and mana cost reduction before you can use these gloves. Last but not least, the curses and the order in which you socket them matter, so make sure to check that POB to see how I've done it, and if you're still confused, then ask me in the comments or consider looking up a more comprehensive guide for Impending Doom. Speaking of which, I want to do a quick shout out to fellow content creators POC and Phrecia for their occultist and elementalist versions of this build. The occultist uses poison and scales damage over time, while the elementalist uses ignite and scales golem effectiveness. Both of these variations can be played on the Harbinger during the Phrecia League. You just need to get a little bit creative with how you're going to make your Doom Blast poison and ignite enemies. We can get chance to poison from stacking septic spells on cluster jewels, and chance to ignite with chaos damage from items like Consuming Dark, Balborn Diadon, and Zerfi's Heart. I'll personally be league starting with the hit variation of this build that uses power charge stacking, so for this we're going to need to use Void Battery, Malachi's Loop, and the Ralakash Impatience combo. You're also going to want to find yourself a Militant Faith Timeless Jewel that has been carved out in the glory of Dominus. This is going to give you the Inner Conviction Keystone, which is going to enable us to get spell power from stacking power charges. Right, if I decide to min-max the build for the endgame, I'm probably going to transition over to the poison variation, so stay tuned for an update video. With the fundamentals out of the way, let's talk about how we'll level the build in the campaign. We're going to start off with Spark at level 2. This is a spell that shoots out lightning projectiles. At level 4, we get 3 new spells, Flame Wall, Orb of Storms, and Frost Blink. Flame Wall is going to burn your enemies and empower your projectiles to deal added fire damage, and Orb of Storm is going to zap nearby enemies when you cast a lightning skill. And lastly, we get Frost Blink, which is our mobility skill. It's going to teleport us to a location and create chilled ground. Combo these together as you see fit for a smooth leveling experience. For auras, you're going to want to start with a Clarity in Act 1 for mana regeneration, summon Skitterbots in Act 2 for a little bit of damage from that Shock Ailment modifier, and you're going to want to swap to Grace or Determination at the end of Act 4 so you have a little bit of layered defenses. In Act 3, after the Fixture of Fate quest, we're going to transition from Spark to Impending Doom. Right, we're going to use Self-Cast Despair with Cursed Ground to trigger Doom Blast. Our single target damage is going to feel really bad at the start, so consider using Self-Cast Blight in a 4-link setup for bosses. We can also swap this to a totem setup when our Impending Doom damage improves as we progress through the campaign. Last but not least, remember to help Alira in Act 2 for elemental resists, and use Major Soul of the Brine King for stun mitigation, and Minor Soul of Ralakash for bleed mitigation. And for affixes on your gear, you're going to want to look for life, mana, spell damage, resistances, and movement speed modifiers. Once we get to maps, our top priority is going to be buying Foulborn Doedri's Scorn. Some other uniques you might find helpful are Sapphal's Frame for damage and resists, Foulborn Kikazaru for mana and mana regeneration, Foulborn Belt of the Deceiver for making enemies unnerved, and we're also going to want to slot in that Vixen's Entrapment when our mana sustain starts to feel comfy. From here, we're simply saving up to get our power charge stacking uniques, which we've already talked about previously. Remember to check the path of building for your passive tree progression. There is a loadout button in the top right hand corner which you can use to see the recommended passives and gear for your level. Also, make sure to check the notes section at the bottom. I put a lot of work into these, and it's going to go into the specifics of what filter I use, what map mods to avoid, and any other tips and tricks I learn as I play the build. With that said, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wish you the best for your league start in Phrecia. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this video helpful. It really does help me out a lot. And if you're already subscribed, let me know what you thought about this video. I tried something different, tried something new. We're going with a style that keeps things short and sweet instead of deep diving and rambling like I usually do. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon with an update video. Bye!